Hey, cats and kittens, welcome to Skip Squad Chronicles episode 16. Today's episode is a big deal because I'm joined by my brilliant and stunning girlfriend, Helga Morgan. Yep, I'm wearing my Team Helga hat because I'm frickin' wild about her and I'm not even sorry about it. She's perfect. We've been connected on Instagram since September, but it feels like forever. And now we're officially a couple, and if my smitten puppy dog eyes get distracted, you're just gonna have to frickin' deal with it because I have no control. Helga's an incredible dancer, a rope skipper, a Zumba instructor, and a lovely human who's committed to helping other people find joy and happiness and movement in life. She makes everything she does look graceful and effortless. I could talk to her and watch her dance forever, and I plan to. But for now, let's jump into this episode before I melt or start gushing again. Helga Morgan, thank you so much for agreeing to come on Skip Squad Chronicles. I can't tell you how excited I am to talk to you.
My pleasure. Likewise. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I looked up earlier to see, I couldn't remember, like, how long have we been talking on Instagram? Because it feels kind of like forever in a way.
Right?
And I went back in my little scroll and it was like September. Like, how could it only be September? Because I feel like I know you a lot more than I know several, people that I live around who I've been around for years. We've talked quite a bit.
Yeah, I remember. And you were great, when Hurricane Milton hit us here. You were so supportive. You're checking on me. Hey, are you okay? I was like, yeah.
Well, it was scary. You were obviously a little bit scared. And yeah, that's got to be a terrible thing to go through. I've been through some pretty bad storms before, and I know it can be kind of unsettling. And I felt like I thought you were alone at the time too. And I thought that's got to be like nerve-wracking. So
it was. I appreciate your kindness. Like, it was really nice of you to check on me. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Well, so I want to start by telling you a few things that I love about you, Helga. So one of them, like the first thing that I really found just amazing was, I think it was probably the first video of yours I saw, was that you are a rope dancer. I mean, like you dance, whether you're skipping or not, you flow like a dancer. And I think the first video I saw, I was like, oh my God, look at this woman. She is amazing. And every time your videos pop up on my feed, they always make me smile and oftentimes cheer out loud. I was laughing earlier because there's been more than one occasion where I've seen a video and my dog who's sleeping on the floor next to me, I'm like, oh my God, Zuzu, you've got to see this woman. And she's like, Dad, I've got a chew toy here. But anyway, I just think you're just so fun to watch.
I appreciate it. And that is cool because I was looking at a picture when I was 4 years old. It's a picture of me in my ballet tutu, and I'm frozen. I'm just stopped. And, it's like the deer in the headlights. And really? I remember it was the first time I tried to dance when I was very little. My mom put me in these ballet classes. And the first time I was on stage, I froze so bad that they had to go there and get me.
They picked you up and you just stayed
still.
I
was that frozen. And it's so funny, that memory stuck to me. It's been like almost 50 years, but I remember them getting me off stage because I was like, and I have a picture that made the moment immortal, right?
Really?
But I have to post that picture because it's so funny. I'm like terrified. They opened the curtains and I'm like, oh. I'm not doing that. So I thought that it took me a long time to overcome this fear of being on stage and everything. And then after overcoming that, there was the fear of being on camera. Like my first videos, I'm terrified. I'm like,
Really?
They're kind of fun to watch, but it's one of the reasons why I post then. It's for me to see like, wow, you're doing this. Because if I didn't watch myself doing that, I wouldn't believe it, that I was actually, doing that.
I know what you mean. That's a weird feeling, huh?
Yeah, it's like, wow, and what I do is I have a lot of difficulty memorizing routines and choreos. I was chastised in ballet so bad because I couldn't memorize the routines. So what I do is I leave the camera on and I just do whatever the music. Flow. Yeah, I just flow with it. And if you ask me to repeat it, I can't do it because I have no idea. And that's the way I do it. And I love rope dancing because it allows you to do that. You don't have to follow a set of steps. And for me, it's very therapeutic to do that, to listen to the music. One of the videos that you liked. I think it was a tango por una cabeza,
To Carmen?
believe. Gardel. It was, yeah, I think it was a Carlos Gardel tango,
Oh, yep. I
right?
know exactly which one you mean.
And it has a funny story because I was just listening to that song in the car. And I was like, I feel inspired to dance to it. And I just, and if you see, sometimes I kind of,
Is that the one of the red dress ones?
the blue dress
That's the
was,
blue dress one. Okay.
yes. And then I just played the song, got my shoes off, and just danced. And it was so much fun. But I like that, with rope dancing, you can do that. You can just let yourself go, listen to the music, and let your body talk. I
Mm-hmm.
like that idea.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you do it with such grace and you smile. You just look like you're having so much fun. And when I see those videos, I think that's that point that I want to get at. That's my nirvana too, is when I can get out there and I can flow and I'm not thinking about anything else. And I'm not necessarily thinking so hard about what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just like channeling the music, in a way. I just think that's so fun. And it really comes through in your videos, I think.
Yeah, but you look like you're having a lot of fun. You flow. You have got,
Oh my
the
God, I have
moves.
so much
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows.
But I love that about your videos too. And you also have great musical taste. I think I love the music that you come up with. And of course, I think we were chatting the other night. Well, I was wearing a Cure t-shirt and
Yeah.
you were like, The Cure. And then we're like, The Smiths. Yeah.
Yes,
Morrissey.
exactly.
Yeah. And also, so the last thing I'll say to embarrass you is that I just think you're such a kind, empathetic person. And I just love how you contribute to the community and how you express yourself. And I think you come across as very genuine and vulnerable and kind and true. I don't know. You're just such an amazing person. And so I'm so glad to know you. And I'm just super happy that you're here talking to me.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. And right back at you. It's like
Well, thank
putting
you.
a mirror, right? It's like, just the
Well, that's
same.
so nice of you. So what can you tell us what part of the world you're in?
I am very close to Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
Yes.
And you don't work for Disney.
It don't work for Disney, no.
Yeah. Right. So what do you do for work?
I am a healthcare interpreter for Portuguese. So I work for a company that when patients that have what we call limited English proficiency, when the patients go to see a healthcare provider, I will be on video with them and I'm going to help patients and healthcare providers communicate. And I absolutely love doing that. It's really something that it's very challenging, but at the same time, I feel that when you get to serve people at a moment where many times they are very vulnerable, like you went through, like, for instance, you had a car accident, you're injured, you go to an ER and then everybody's speaking English, you don't know what they're saying. All of a sudden they bring the interpreter e a gente sai, oi, tudo bem? Você é seu intérprete. Okay. It feels good to see how people feel like supported and relieved that somebody speaks their language.
Oh, yeah.
And so it gives me a sense of purpose, and I love serving healthcare professionals. I learn a lot, but what happens is it's not easy to see people in pain.
Sure.
So the rope helps me a lot as an outlet for days that can be challenging because I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Yeah.
And it's hard because, especially when you're on video, you have you cannot comfort them as much as you would like to. And you see babies, newborns, infants, like you work with all kinds of, it's every single medical specialty. And we work with hospitals all over the country.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you're doing like remote interpreting for not just in Florida, but
no, it's all over, all across the U.S. What happens is the hospitals, they have special iPads. And so they have, I think right now we have 50 languages on video. So when a healthcare professional needs an interpreter, they just press the button and they connect to us in 10 seconds or less. So we have our studios and then we are on a video call with them. And it's very interesting.
That sounds amazing. So, and you do this all from home?
Yes, we have we work from home, we work remotely, which gives us the capability of working 24/7, because, we
Is
have
that a capability you want?
No, our team provides services
Yeah,
at
right.
24/7, which is great. Like if you're a healthcare provider, you have an emergency 3 in the morning, you're going to have somebody who speaks Portuguese there for you in
Wow.
less than 10 seconds, which I think it's amazing.
That is.
And I absolutely love healthcare professionals. They are my heroes. I think for me, it's a privilege to work with them and the patients, the Portuguese
Absolutely.
speaking community. I feel it's great, but it's not easy. It's
Yeah,
not
I can
easy.
imagine. I can imagine, and for such an empathetic person and someone who is, well, so empathetic and so kind, to be put into the middle of situations where sometimes it can't. I mean, sometimes the physical thing that's going on can't be easy.
Yes, it's challenging and it's kind of cognitively demanding, but also emotionally demanding at times as well.
Sure.
But we are well supported, so we have the ability to debrief, and I have truly the best manager ever. And I'm really appreciated. It's so good to have somebody who is kind and understands. And she used to work as an interpreter. She knows what the work is like.
Hmm.
So I really appreciate having her guiding me and being my manager. So that's one of the great things about the job. It's like it's
Sure.
challenging, but you have that kind of support. But
Yeah.
the rope has helped me so much because if
Yeah.
I have a hard day, because you really wish that people didn't get sick or didn't get hurt. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do though, right? It's
Right.
like, and it can be hard as well because my mom died of cancer. So when I hear I have to tell somebody that they have the same diagnosis,
Mm.
it's challenging.
Good flashbacks. Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, oh my gosh, kind of I wish I could change things for people, but
Yeah.
I'm limited to just like relaying the information. But that's why one of the reasons why I started jumping rope. There was
Hmm.
a time that I have 2 kids and they're grown, they are out of the house. But my daughter left for college and she had this gym at home. She had this little PVC rope. And I had just moved into this town. I was living by myself. I didn't know anybody there. It was this island, 4 by 6 miles. I didn't know a single soul in that place. And I felt so isolated. I was like, I think, I start jumping, but
So it just came to you like, I'll just start jumping, or had
yeah,
you seen
yeah,
somebody
but
else doing it?
there's something else too. It's hilarious because I was the worst at jump rope. I was absolutely hopeless at the rope. It's like I remember I was in martial arts when I was still living in Brazil, and I was taking this martial arts class. And from time to time, the instructor would say, "Well, we're gonna start today warming up with the jump rope." I was like, "No, I
Really?
couldn't. I couldn't even like simple bounce. I was absolutely like I couldn't do it.
Really?
I couldn't, and everybody was doing the boxer steps, and everything." And I was just like struggling.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't think I'll ever be able to do this. Then I'm like, hmm, let me try, and I
Hmm.
started. And on my account, I have the very first video that I posted in, I think, August 2022 was the first video
Okay.
I posted. It was when I started jumping. And I learned that there were better ropes.
Yeah.
But one thing that I wish that I had done is I wish I had watched tutorials from the very beginning because I
Mm.
would have avoided injury
Oh,
and I
really?
would also get better form,
Mm.
because once you spend like when you spend 1 year with your arms wide open and then all of a sudden, you know, it's normal for me. They just go.
Yeah. It's a hard habit to break, right?
Yeah, like, but if I had watched the tutorial or if I had some guidance at the very beginning of not getting off too high up from the floor,
Hmm.
and you guys forgive me, English is not my first language, so I say weird stuff, but you got the idea.
Hmm.
But I didn't know a number of things, and I ended up like a month after I had started jumping, I injured my ankle. And then but then I started watching tutorials. That's how I learned. They were whole ropes with the handles that would move better.
Yep.
And then I bought one of those and like, that makes it so much easier.
Hmm.
But I got injured quite a lot out of like sheer ignorance of,
Were
you know,
you like jumping too much or not
I,
warming up
I
or? doing backflips?
I was jumping on concrete.
Okay.
And I was just I was jumping in a way that I was so heavy. I think I was really
Mm.
having a lot of impact on my heels and ankles
Oh,
instead of
okay. Sure.
the front part of my foot.
Right.
So I remember there was a video that I posted, and right after I couldn't jump for 6 weeks because I injured and when I watched, I was like, ah, that's why.
Yeah.
That's how you got hurt. Because sometimes when you're jumping, you don't feel it, but then next day you just can't move your ankle anymore.
Yeah.
Then you have to
Yeah.
be careful because healthcare in the US is so expensive.
Oh my God, it's terrible. I know. It's so crazy that we have, some of the best healthcare in the world, but it's like unattainable for so much of the
Yes,
country. Like it's so hard to have health insurance if
e-
you
exactly.
don't get it from your job or something like that.
I know. Yeah,
So,
go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, so when so that took you out for like 6 weeks. It's interesting because I think you've probably heard me say I did the same sort of thing where I injured myself and then I couldn't jump for 6 weeks. And of course, during that time, all I wanted to do was jump and dance. And I'd see videos of people like you and go, what can I do? I should have been like working on rope skills at the time, but at the time I didn't do so much of that. So you picked up the rope because you were kind of isolated and you needed something to do and you thought, I'll just try this again.
Yes, because exercise is a big part of my life because it really helps me, it helps me feel like to, release tension. It helps me a lot with stress management. So I hadn't signed up. I didn't really know anything in town. I had just moved there.
Okay.
I just knew that it was an island.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I think I'm going to start working out at home. And I think the rope is an idea. Then I try a couple of, maybe I can do this. Maybe I'm not entirely hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became fun. And I started, one thing that the rope has done for me is because I am extremely self-conscious. I am so shy. It's like, I don't know how I'm here. But I think it's because you make me feel so safe and so comfortable, right?
Well, good. Good. You should
But
be.
yeah, and then I started recording videos and I was so self-conscious, like, my gosh, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this. But then I overcame like fears and insecurities and self-consciousness. And then nowadays I just forget that my phone is recording. I'm just having fun. And I think that is great, that with time you become a different person with jumper. It changes you if you let
Yeah.
it.
I'm curious, Helga, was there something specific that helped you get over that self-consciousness? Or like, was it just time or did you have some
I think it was time.
epiphany?
In the beginning, I only posted my videos to my private account.
Okay.
It's just like people that I know for 34 years, like
Mm-hmm.
childhood friends,
Mm-hmm.
it's just my private account. And they were so supportive. They were all like, wow, that is so cool. I didn't know you could do those things with a rope. And oh, that is so cool and everything. And so they were so kind and so supportive that I feel like, that's interesting, And some people, I think that was the best part. They're like, oh, you motivated me to start exercising. And I was
Yeah.
like, ah, yeah.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, that made me feel good. But then a friend told me, why don't you create a public account? It's like, no way, I'm not going to do that. But she says like, yeah, I think, more people could, benefit from watching you do these things. And maybe they would feel inclined to start. So I think I created my public account maybe a year, 2 years, a year and a half ago, maybe.
Okay.
It took me a lot of courage,
Yeah.
a lot of courage.
So when you were doing it just with your private account, was your motivation mostly to kind of like track your progress?
I wanted to inspire women my age to try something that could be transformative because you see, when you are like, I'm about to turn 53, and when you get to your fees, it's like some of us, there's this existential crisis. Your kids are grown, they are, in college and things, and we're like, now you really have to to find something in your life that it's almost like you have to look within and see, what do I want to do now?
Yeah. Right.
Right? So I think I wanted to inspire other women my age to find something, to find their passion, to find, motivation to exercise. And exercise, for me, you won't do it for long if it's not fun. Like, I
Right.
can't stand like a treadmill. Like, I can't do that.
It sucks.
No, I can't.
Not getting anywhere.
No. And it's just like the same thing, like every day.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I don't want to discourage anybody. It's just me, for me
Right.
personally, it doesn't work. So I wanted to tell women my age, or just send this message that, there's so much that you can do. Once you turn 50, wow. It's like there's so much available to us, so much that you can do. You can like basically be a version of you that you're like, wow, I like that. It makes me feel good, So that's what I wanted to do. It's just to inspire a little bit, if I could, other people to find something like that.
That's so cool. Do you mentioned earlier about watching your videos, or sort of being surprised that you could do some of that stuff. Do you still have that occurrence where like you make a video and you watch it and you, like, I have this occurrence where it almost feels like an out of body experience sometimes.
Exactly.
Like that dude is not the same dude I was a year ago or a year and a half ago. And I know what that dude's been through,
Exactly. That's exactly the feeling.
Does it ever make you feel emotional?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Good. I'm not the only one.
It's like, wow. Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, I do. And I'm like, that's why sometimes I have to watch my videos and I'm like, you made it.
Yeah.
You made it. You went all the way to hell and back like so many times, and you're still here in spite of everything.
Yeah.
Because I've been through a lot.
Yes.
And, I think it's a testament to the human spirit and to the power of resiliency. If you don't give up, that's why I write a lot in my posts, like, don't give up on yourself, because what you see on the other side, if you don't give up on yourself, even in your darkest nights, the other side is so promising,
Yeah.
It's really cool. So I get emotional and I'm like, you did.
Yeah. That's a pretty special feeling. I remember times in my life, one time specifically where it was when I was in Washington, and I worked at a small company that was a Dutch company, and we had this little office in Gig Harbor, Washington, and it was basically me and one other guy who was in his 60s at the time, and super nice guy. And we had both been through some similar challenges with like addiction and depression and stuff in our lives. And at one of my really low points, I just remember him saying, just stick with it. Things will get better. And I remember thinking, I can't imagine that, but maybe he's right. And so now sometimes when I look back at those videos, I'm like, I know that time when I just didn't imagine tomorrow. I couldn't imagine ever smiling, and
I know.
Look at that guy. He's smiling and he's skipping on a limestone bench like a fool and having fun at it,
And inspiring a ton of people, because I feel so energized when I watch your videos. Like, man, he's on the beach. Look at the guy go.
Yeah, it's fun. So you mentioned that English isn't your first language. Portuguese is your first language, correct?
That's right.
So, and you have not always been in the U.S. When did you move to the U.S.?
Back in 2010.
Okay.
Yes, that's when I immigrated.
Okay. And did you know English at the time?
I did. I started learning, but it was English as a foreign language, right? I think I was 14 when I started learning, but I'm still learning every day. I make funny mistakes still, and when people find it hilarious, it's all good. As long as I can bring a smile to somebody, that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting.
So, when you started doing the rope stuff, were you also dancing at the time? I mean, I know you told the story of being 4 years old in a mortified tutu or whatever, but were you a dancer too?
I never considered myself a dancer. Like I I think my parents really liked me, wanted me to be in ballet, and I wanted to do capoeira, which is like a martial art, but okay.
Yeah. When you said martial arts earlier, I was going to ask, was it capoeira?
Oh, I wish. I wish. This is something that if I had done capoeira, I would never have back problems. I would have the toughest back. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have
It's a cool
herniated
looking.
discs, stuff that I
Yeah.
have today. But I did a martial arts later on in life. I
Okay.
think I was 21, around that. But when I was 10, my parents enrolled me in ballet, and I was there for 7 years.
Okay.
It was a struggle for me because I can't memorize routines. It's very hard for me. I
Hmm.
can improvise a lot, but
Yeah,
it's
but
a
teachers don't
challenge.
like that when they're telling you to
No,
do this move.
especially in ballet. Oh my goodness. I got in trouble many times,
Yeah.
because of that difficulty. For me, it's like dancing, it's self-expression, and it's like you have a feeling, and then that feeling is just like moves through your body and
Right.
expresses itself through your body. So if you have something that it's like, you know,
Prescribed. Yeah.
and that move doesn't match that emotion, I think.
Yeah. Right.
One of the I had so much fun with the track Rise by Katy Perry. I was like, that those lyrics, they hit me hard. I'm like, yes, that's the story of my life. And so when I was doing that, I was just really feeling it through me.
Hmm.
Everything that I went through, and I went through extremely painful experiences. And so when I was doing that, I felt that it was so liberating. I felt that those emotions were kind of coursing through my body and were like being
Hmm.
transmuted
Hmm.
somehow. So I love the rope. I really do. I think that
Hmm.
if you let it, it will change you. It will help you heal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's kind of amazing that, the thing that's what, less than a quarter of a pound and made of, thread and plastic
Yeah.
it can be so transformative, or it can do so many things for people physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Yeah, I think you might started it as an exercise, but with the time, like you start, like I remember the first time I was able to do a trick, I was like, wow, I had no idea I could do that. So sometimes it restores your belief in yourself
Yeah.
because it has been chipped away by people and experiences,
Hmm.
and so you're
It's a
like,
good confidence
wow,
builder.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Definitely. And you can use your creativity as well, right? You can create different sequences and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
it's it's great. I love it. I totally lose track of time, just like having so much fun, which
Isn't
was
that
hard
great?
when when I couldn't jump I still cannot jump much because what I noticed with my back injury is that I can't do things that I am just in one foot. If I have to, like, I can't jump, there are some footwork that you have to mostly bear your weight on one foot, one leg.
Hmm.
And when I do that, it kind of,
Tweaks you.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I noticed that.
So like a boxer step would hurt, kind of, or alternating footwork, or is
Yeah,
it
there
more
are
when you?
the things that I used to like to do. I don't know the names. I don't know the name of anything except for the
Yeah.
make release.
Yeah.
But there
I'm
are
not.
things that I can't do. But also what doesn't help is that I'm very impatient. And what I did is one thing that helped my back a lot was acupuncture.
Oh, really?
I have this great acupuncturist here, and the problem is I went to 2 treatments with her, and my pain was gone. I kid you not. It
Yeah.
was like I had no pain, and I was
That
like,
is amazing.
I'm healed. Let's do a belly dance routine.
Yeah.
Then I went, and I truly, like, the relief was so major, right? And it's like, what did Hiroko do? This was really magical. It's like the relief was amazing. But then next day I couldn't get out of bed,
Oh,
because
really?
she told me how it's a process. You have
Hmm.
to, you cannot just like have a treatment and go back to doing those things right away.
Did you jump right away after your?
I did the belly dance jump rope
Oh,
routine.
okay. Yeah. So you really worked out the spine there.
Tell me about it. And I did. Like, I went to this back in July. I got to the clinic and they put me on a wheelchair. I had a shot. I was crying. Like, I couldn't even stand to get the x-ray done. The x-ray guy was so kind to me because I was sobbing,
No.
It's like, I'll do it quickly. It's like, please.
Yeah.
But I had the shot that helped a lot. And then I was on steroids. I was on a muscle relaxant. And acupuncture helped me a lot. And other things that I did over time. I use Eastern medicine, Western medicine, everything like that,
Yeah.
I could get my hands on. And I think it's really helped. It's not that I'm 100% now, but it's way better than back in July when I literally could not
Yeah.
move. It was
So
hard.
are you still doing the acupuncture?
No, not anymore because I can't afford it at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
But I did a few treatments with her, and I wish I could. I wish I could have done the whole 3 months treatment. She is
Sure.
absolutely amazing. Wow.
Yeah. People that are good at that energy kind of work stuff, whether it's acupuncture or
It's
Reiki or
amazing
whatever,
because you
it's
see, she placed the needle right here on my shoulder, and I feel when she did that, I feel exactly the spot on my tailbone that was injured. I was like, huh?
great. Like, yeah.
Huh?
How did you know to put it right there?
Right. It was amazing. And the bonus was that my insomnia was gone. I went there for back pain and she healed my insomnia. It's like, what?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because and I don't know. I'm very grateful for her work. It helped me a
So
lot.
when you are not skipping or dancing, what else do you do for fun? Bake oatmeal cookies?
I don't do much for fun because I don't have a lot of free time. I have a little garden. I cultivate flowers and I like that because when you have a garden and you tend to, I live in an apartment, right? So it's just a little
That
garden.
garden?
Yeah, it's a deck garden. But when you're caring for your plants, I have a ton side as well. But you're in the moment. Because I tend to suffer from anxiety is one of my biggest challenges. I can get overwhelmed by anxiety, but when you're tending to your garden or when you're jumping rope, you're in the present moment.
Yeah.
You're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're at that moment,
Yeah.
and so I think it helps me a lot. I still get anxious at times, but it got way better. And no, I don't do much for fun, really. I enjoy dancing a lot. And now that,
You're a Zumba instructor.
I don't know how because I can't memorize a routine. I'm sorry. It's just, yes, I've always liked Zumba. And here's one thing
Can
about
you explain
Zumba.
what Zumba is?
So Zumba is, it's a type of a workout that is dance-based and that was created by Beto Perez. I think he's from Colombia. A long time ago, it's been around. I started taking Zumba back in 2010. It's been around for a long time.
Okay.
But what I really love about it is that it's music from all over the world. There's the spirit of union is us focusing not on our differences, but what binds us together. Like, in a Zumba class, there's that's hip hop, there's salsa merengue, there's Brazilian funk, there's everything. I really like this blend of cultures and different dance moves. And Zumba has helped me immensely. There were times in my life, like I had so many dark nights of the soul, I lost count. But there were times in my life in which I was facing really challenging situations. Everything around me was crumbling. And I was exhausted and overwhelmed. But then I went to my Zumba class. I dragged myself to the Zumba class. But I felt so alive, and there's this spirit of joy and being uplifted. You're there with a group of people dancing together. There's this energy, that takes over. And I noticed that when I was in a Zumba class, it was like all the struggles, all the worries, everything just stopped for a moment, and I had that respite. And then it put me in a better state of mind so that when I went back to the challenges I had to find a solution for, I was in such a better state of mind that I could find better solutions. It was like, why didn't I think of that before? sometimes you have to take that, to have the possibility to step back.
Sure.
So, and to have something like that. So when you go back, you are in a different emotional state. And then,
Absolutely.
so Zumba has done a lot for me. I stopped taking classes for a while, and then I went back and I was on and off. But it has helped me so much. When I'm there dancing, it's just like joy.
Yeah. So in a Zumba class that you instruct, you kind of stand up in front of the students and then you're just kind of dancing and they're following you, or?
I'm about to start. So I'm like, I have a Zumba license. I'm about to start. I'm starting this week. So I have no idea what I'm going to do.
That's exciting.
So something that has been challenging for me because I have this difficulty in memorizing routines. Sure. And so I got my Zumba license back in November 2023. And I thought, like, I can't do this. It was just there. I didn't prepare a class. So a Zumba class is usually going to have 12 to 13 songs approximately.
Oh, so that's a decent length of class. Is that about what, like an
1 hour?
Okay.
Yeah, 50 minutes to 1 hour.
It's a good workout.
It's a great workout, and you don't notice, you're doing this great upper body workout, but you don't even notice. For you, it's just like, dancing like at a party. But yeah, I was like, my goodness, I can't memorize a jump rope combo, so I'm going to do this. But I struggled with self-confidence. I'm not a confident person at all. This is something that I have to work on, and I've been working on. So I decided to, try to learn one choreo, try to learn one song. And I did. I was like, try to learn. So I was trying to learn one song a week. And I eventually got to 13 songs. Actually, now I think I have 16 that I know how to do.
That's cool. So are all of and pardon me, because I just don't have the experience with Zumba, but is it prescriptive? So like, does a song have a certain routine that goes with it, or is?
No, there are ideas you can adapt. Like what we do is like we have a subscription, so they have a release. Like there are different, we call Zen. So they send us, you have access to the choreos on video, and you have access to the licensed music. So you can put up your playlist, and it's great because you have so much freedom to create your class. You choose the songs that you like, and then you create a class. In my class, like the ones that I prepared that I'm starting to teach, I put a little bit of everything. I put a little bit of Brazilian funk, of course. I put like Bollywood, hip hop, salsa, merengue, Afro beats. I like that blend because there's a little something for everybody there. But what you do is you have access to this library of videos, and then you can watch and you can adapt. You can use them as inspiration. Since I don't have experience as an instructor, I learned just the way they are. I watch the videos and I memorize how to do that. And then I create my playlist, I download it, and then it's ready for class. But I cannot tell you what it is like to be an instructor because I'm going to start this week.
Cool. So we'll have you back on in a while and we'll check back in on this.
Yeah, don't.
I was thinking what we need is like an IV pole with an iPad on it that you just wheel in there so that I can watch the whole class and follow along from Minnesota.
Yeah, yes, like maybe that way I won't give up after first class.
Right. I'll be there cheering you on.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think at times you have to focus on the prize. It's like the why you're doing this. So why am I teaching this class? Because I have a dream. And my dream is to create an environment in which everybody feels welcome. It's a class that it doesn't matter if you have a background in dance. It doesn't matter if you ever try to dance. It doesn't matter. Like everybody's welcome. Right? From all walks of life, it doesn't really matter. So my dream is to create a safe space for everybody to be able to express themselves through movement and to achieve not only the physical health benefits, but the mental health benefits.
Yeah.
Because I know how movement can be something transformative. It can really lift you up.
Yeah.
And it can put you back on track because life is not easy. There will be very hard times and
Yeah.
When you have tools like that, it helps you overcome
Sure.
challenges. And then once you get to the other side, you notice that you are a better version, you're a better person than you were before. So
Right.
I'm like, wow, it was worth it. Okay.
You get a little confidence boost and
Yes. And I was like, what a cool thing would that be, right? In a class that is no competition, just collaboration. Everybody is a meaningful part of the whole.
yeah.
It's like there's no judgment.
Yeah.
If you can, like, if you're in a class that you have to compete, that you have that pressure to perform, to like,
Right.
look how cool I can dance, like
Yeah.
I've been a dancer for 20 years. Like, that's not the point. The point is, I've been through hell and back, and here I am doing something for myself, not giving up on myself, trying to rebuild my life, trying to trying to heal. So I'm here because I know this is going to be good for me, and I will benefit from the joy and the safety of this environment. So that's my dream: is to build to build an environment in which everybody feels welcome, everybody feels accepted, everybody feels like a meaningful part of the whole, and it doesn't matter how you move. If you that's what I dream of doing. But since I have not started teaching yet, I don't know if I'll ever be able to create that atmosphere.
I know you will. You're great.
I hope so. But thank you for your support. That's one thing that I really appreciate about you, that you're so supportive, like you go to and you promote other people, you promote their accounts, and you go there and you write this, these comments, it's so supportive, so nice. I salute you for that.
Well,
it's really important.
Well, it's one of those things, I've mentioned this before, but it takes so little time to be good to people, right? And it's one of those things that it's a double whammy, right? Like if I encourage somebody else, it makes me feel better, it makes them feel better, and there's no downside to it. And it doesn't
exactly.
It's just like a rising tide raises all boats, right?
Exactly. I really like the metaphor of a candle lighting another candle.
Right.
You don't lose anything by doing that. It's really like that. And I think that's why we're here for.
Yeah. It's interesting too. In my last conversation, I think you saw the podcast with Sarah. I think one of the things that comes up is that you never actually know how many people's candles you're lighting, right? Like
exactly,
you go let your light shine, and then I've had people contact me and say the most amazing, flattering stuff, like, hey, I saw you do this and it made me feel free, or it made me feel like I could do that, or whatever. And like, really? I'm just little old me, like I just taped that so that I could see what a fool I look like down the road. But yeah, I think you'll do great. So I'm curious, when you started like jumping and dancing, how long did it take you to sort of realize, hey, I'm really getting mental health benefits out of this? It's more than just the physical stuff. It's that focus, or it's that confidence boost.
I think it was right away, it was like, it's just like I think the body talks to you, somehow. And it's just that we don't listen. We are either just going through the motions, or we're too busy, we're too overwhelmed. But we've quiet down our minds. Your body's always talking to you. And I didn't listen to it a few times.
Yeah.
And I got hurt. And then I couldn't move for several months. Mental health benefits, they are just like, they are indescribable. It's just like the amount is beyond just the neuroscientific like perspective of endorphins and endorphins and, growth hormones and everything. There's this cognitive benefits. But for me, it's just the way I feel, no matter how I'm feeling, if I'm dancing and creating and I'm letting myself move to the music. I don't know. It's just the way I feel after that.
Yeah.
During that.
Yeah. I love how Sarah described the force field. Like you get the rope whipping around you and you feel like you're in your bubble.
I was totally related to that.
Yeah, me too. I was like, absolutely,
that's
Sarah.
Totally the same feeling. Exactly.
Yeah. And all the other stuff bounces off of that little force field.
Exactly.
I'm not thinking about the stress of work. I'm not thinking about money. I'm not thinking about other stuff, I'm flowing and I'm having fun.
And when she said that, I was like, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the way I feel.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just hard to put into words. And so I thought that was really, really cool,
Yeah. It
the
was
way
a
she
cool
said
one.
it.
So let me ask you some gear questions here. So you mentioned you started out with maybe a less than perfect rope. Do you have you're probably not a rope hoarder like I am, but
Mm.
no, nobody is. I'm
No,
embarrassing. But like what kind
no.
of ropes do you use?
No, you're not. It's just like in my case is that I got injured so many times and I stopped jumping for so many, for
Mm-hmm.
so much time that like I think I have 3 ropes at this point. I have a beaded rope, I had one cross rope, and one that I don't even know what that is. It's a PVC rope.
Do you have a go-to?
Oh, I I had this PVC rope that was very basic. Then I got one at Amazon that had better handles. And then I heard of cross ropes. So I really like the way that you can, just
Oh,
change
detach
the
the hem.
rope
Yep.
with the. So I got that. And then I got a beaded rope. But the thing is, I started backwards. I didn't start with a beaded rope. But right now I have 3,
Mm-hmm.
basically. But I got injured so many times. I started jumping August 2022. I probably stopped. If you add everything all together, I didn't jump for a year on and off
Oh, really?
because
Because
it was
you.
both my ankles, then was my groin, then there was my spine.
Mm.
So, so
So do
maybe
you have
that's
like a special or warm-up routine that you do now to kind of help avoid
no,
injury?
it's like I don't. What I do now is I do my Zumba workout before my jump rope.
Mm.
Because when you do Zumba, the warm up for Zumba, it's really a great way to warm up. So
Okay.
yeah, I practice because then I can practice my routines. I can memorize the routines and then I'm ready for jumping after
Sure.
that. But I haven't jumped much because I noticed that when I do it next day, something hurts. And
Yeah.
I don't want to ever hurt like
Yeah.
that before.
Yeah. I've noticed in some of your more recent reels, I call it rope dancing, right? Like, I mean, it's not like you're just skipping, you're dancing, you're moving, you're doing EBs, you're swinging around.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
I know what you mean. Like, I don't, it's funny to me when people say, oh, yeah, I was working on the elephant and then the toad and the frog. And
Right.
like, there's a whole menagerie of animals. And I have no idea what they all are. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know the names of things. That's a handicap for me. I don't know the names of the tricks and the footwork. But what I do is there are things that they just feel natural. Like there are
sure.
things that I do with
Mm-hmm.
spinning that they just come to me.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a very liberating time for me because I just go with the flow. Normally in life and in work, I think like a million times before I do anything, but let's try this. Oh, that feels
Mm-hmm.
cool. Let's try it faster. Oh, this is fun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great like go with the flow practice. I really enjoy it, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Most of
It's
what
not that
I'm
important to
doing
label it, really, is it?
yeah, it's like most of what I'm doing is just at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and you notice that if I think about it, I'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if I think about it, I'll stop for a minute and then I'll go again. But if I stop to think, then everything comes to a halt. I really have to let myself go and,
Yeah, my brain
and
gets me in trouble too. Yeah, the more
yes,
I try and analyze it, like
yeah,
the
right. I think that's a cartoon I used to watch as a kid. There was this frog that could sing the opera, and they
I know who you're
remember
talking
that.
about. Yeah,
And then they would put him on stage and he was just croaking, right?
right.
And
Ribbit, ribbit.
exactly.
Yeah,
I'm like that, like I can do things, but as soon as I have the pressure to perform, then
mm.
everything crumbles.
So is almost all of your stuff just kind of improvised, or have you?
Yes.
Okay, and like you do the mic release and stuff. How did you learn the tricks that you know? Was it mostly just watching people and trying it out, or did you?
Yeah, it was I think it was just watching tutorials and trying to learn from a few tips,
Mm-hmm.
like watching stuff that popped on my reel and just there's another thing that the rope is great to teach you patience and persistence.
Yeah. And dealing with rope welts, right?
Oh my goodness, tell me about it. That's why nowadays, even if I can't catch it right, I'm still like, wow, cool. Because it was so hard to get to the point that I can actually catch the rope. It took me a long time. I had to be very consistent in order to do it. It was not easy. But, there's a video that I posted that I'm like, I don't think if I'll ever be able to do this.
Yeah.
But the rope is not just a workout. It will help you. It will teach you how to be more patient. I need that, more consistent, more discipline, more like, because that, for example, you try to learn a trick. Once you master it, you know how the process is going to unfold. So next time, like, I've been there. If I keep at it, I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
right? And so I
That's a
think
cool feeling.
it is. And it's just like, it's so good to have that because you apply it to other areas of your life.
Yeah.
It gets you calmer in the face of challenges. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
My buddy Richard has pointed that out a few times on the podcast, like that some of the benefits that he's got from jumping rope can apply to the rest of his life. Like just
Yes.
that one benefit of, hey, if I show up and I keep working at it, I get better. It may
Yes.
take a little while, but things get better. And I know I've mentioned like first time I saw, well, I think probably one of the first people I saw was Lauren jumping and doing releases and this crazy footwork and stuff. And it just all looked like magic to me. Like that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And oh my God, how do you do that?
Right.
And my brain is saying, yeah, that's not for you, buddy. Like you'll never be. But I didn't listen to that shit. Yeah.
I'm glad.
And I just went out and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to learn this footwork and I'm okay with looking awkward and stupid. And
no, you look like you're floating, That's one of the, sometimes I'm just watching the video like, how does he do that? It's like, it's so light. You're so light on your feet, and everything flows in a way that is so like, it's like, wow.
It's my fuegos, really cool. Baby. It's my fuegos.
Yeah, your fuegos.
You just got a pair of fuegos too, I know.
Yeah, but I can't, I'm not that light on my feet. That's the fuegos and some dizzy.
Yeah. Getting dizzy with it.
Man, you are really amazing. I'm like, how can he move so lightly? Everything flows so beautifully. It's really cool.
That's so
you
nice
inspire
of you.
us. I'm so glad you never listened to that inner critic because like you're inspiring all of us.
Oh, well, that's so nice of you. It's so funny that I get pings from people who are like, hey, every time I see a bench, like I think of you and I want to get on the bench with a rope. And I'm like, right on. That's so cool. And I've had people send me videos like, hey, I was on vacation. I found this rock and I'm skipping on the rock.
That is so cool, isn't it?
It's so amazing. I feel like it's just little old me doing my thing in the park and people are inspired by it. That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. One of the other things that I think about is, and I've mentioned this before too on the podcast, is that especially over the course of the summer when, I live in Minnesota. And so now it's just almost 5:30 p.m. and it's dark outside and stuff. So in the summertime when it's light, I go to the park and I spend as much time as I can. And I spent so much time just going and like doing my warm-ups and then getting on the bench and flowing. And I don't know why I love those benches so much, but I do. But I did not work on skills like releases or, specific, like the EB or whatever. And I would see people who, started jumping at the same time or after me or whatever, who were so good at these moves. And at first I would think like, should I be better? Like, why am I so behind here? And I realized that, first of all, my journey is my journey and it's okay if I don't know all of the tricks or stuff like that. But I realized that a lot of what I was doing was stress relief. I've got things going on in my life that I wanted to, I wanted to feel like I was in that force field. And so I would go and I would do my warm-ups and I would flow. And what I found was sort of interesting side effect is that I sort of found my flow in a way, like everybody sort of moves differently and stuff. And so I had people saying, hey, you're doing it like dizzy or, like referring to the way that I move. And it's simultaneously weird, but also cool. And I'm happy that I didn't just, bust out and work on all these individual skills and that I just sort of found my, footwork voice.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. I'm glad to.
So So you're about to start Zumba classes. That's great. So you have like jump rope goals or dancing goals after that. You've already said like your big goal is to create a safe space for
Yeah.
people to express themselves through dance. And
Yes, I think that, yes, my goal is not to give up. I just want to, keep going. I hope to recover fully. It's like I'm doing way better. My goodness, I'm so relieved. I did a lot of things in order to help me heal, but now I'm doing way better. I still can sleep in only one position, so I have like all this set up in my bed so I can. But fortunately, I didn't need surgery. Although here in my back, when you feel right here, it's like there's a golf ball protruding from my spine.
That
But
cannot be
usually,
comfortable.
yeah, it's the thing is I've realized you really have to listen to your body. Sometimes you just have to take a break, no matter how hard it is. But
Yeah.
at the same time, what happened was I stopped jumping. Like I can't do double unders or anything like that because I don't even know like if I'll ever try to do that again because I'm afraid that will.
Yeah. The impact on your back's got to be tough.
But the whole thing led me to was to dance with the rope. So I'm like, I hadn't tried that before, like to just not jump, but use the rope to dance with it. And I was like, this is so much fun. I love it. And I started creating these moves, I have no idea where they came from, but I started, some of them I learned with tutorials. I started to see these tutorials in which they were jumpless. You didn't have to jump to do this thing. And I did a tango with it and I had so much fun. I was like, wow. And I really like the possibility of doing all this kind of, dance styles and everything. And it's fun. It's just fun.
You're so good at it too. I mean,
you think
I do. I like seriously, you have some of my favorite
you're
videos
so
on
kind.
Instagram. Like a few of your
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I love all of your videos, but there are a few of them that you've done like the Carmen one or the one that you mentioned earlier with the blue dress where
Thank you.
just unbelievable. Like you would probably think I'm goofy if I told you how many times I've watched them. Like I want to learn how to do that, and so I'm
That's
excited.
so
Like
kind.
we've talked about doing a collaboration, and
let's do it.
I think we're both like not necessarily. Well, I've not done memorized a combo of somebody else or whatever. So there's a certain amount of intimidation, that to me. But I think we'll put something fun together, and
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll be honored. My goodness.
Yeah,
I can't wait. That's
fun.
going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I think the whole thing is like, I think the biggest lesson for me was to find out or discover things about myself I had no idea. It really has been very beneficial in every way, and it has helped me a lot. So it's something that not only I want to do, but I want to share with other people somehow. So some dreams, they just take longer, to come to fruition. But I'm very scared of teaching this class, but I'm just going to go and see let's see if I can create that environment that I want to. Let's see. I'll let you know.
I know you'll do wonderful. I'm sure you will do wonderful.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Well, but you're very talented and you're a very positive person. And I think people will feel very comfortable in your class. And so I would take your Zumba class if I were nearby. Sometime I might just show up.
I would love that.
That would
My
be fun.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, that would make my day.
Yeah.
That would make my day, sure.
Yeah. Well, sometime we'll make it happen.
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So one other question I was going to ask you is, do you ever, like when you're jumping, or dancing, do you ever get like frustrated or have trouble?
It depends. Like if I try to do something, like if I let myself go, no, because you
just flow.
It's like you said, it's like almost like an out of body experience. If I let myself go, I'm listening to the song, I forget that it's recording. But if I'm trying to make something happen, I will definitely get frustrated, and I'm like,
But you're not a rope thrower.
No, not really, but it's just like, I have just 3 ropes. If I do that and one gets damaged, I'll get only 2 ropes.
I've got loads of ropes. I will send you ropes.
Great. But the rope will put you back on tracks. Like, hey, Missy, you're here to express yourself through movement, through music. You're not here for technical perfection. forget about it. Let
Cool.
go. Let your intellect, put your intellect to the side. Because if I try to make something happen, invariably, I will trip. I will, I don't know, things will happen that are very frustrating. Most of the time, I just laugh about it. It's like, how
Yeah,
did I achieve that?
that's great.
There was a time that my beaded rope burst. I used to have this little bead, and it burst in pieces.
Oh my goodness.
It was like
You must have been
pieces.
flying.
It was with the mic release practice. I was
It's a little more released than you
yeah,
wanted, right?
yeah. I actually made a video of it, but I was like, yeah, guys, just like in life, sometimes things break, and you have to put yourself back together.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is amazing. Well, I'm so happy that you were able to come on and talk to me, Helga. This has just been so much fun. And I just think the world of you and can't wait to
Thank
see
goodness.
what you do with Zumba. And so I was going to mention also, you have two separate accounts. You recently started a new account. You have Helga Jumps to
Yes.
Fitness, and then your new account, which is more Zumba related, is Helga in Motion.
Yes. Yes. How in Motion was created for my students and for the community in general, but it's just like things that I wanted to, because usually in a Zumba class, we're really on the go. And there are some conversations that I wanted to have that probably I won't have time to have before or after class. So I created that account to share tutorials, basic safety tips, like, my experience with Zumba. And it was just an account created to spread the word and to share my experiences, almost like a video journal for me. And so I like to look back and like, that happened. It's a step-by-step process, because with teaching these classes, I'm having to go through a series of hurdles, like getting liability insurance and getting CPR, because I need that, right? If I'm
Right.
teaching. So there's liability insurance and CPR certified, but this I wanted to do anyway. But there's a certain number of steps that you have to complete in order to get that up and running. But the other thing that I wanted is to, especially inspire other women my age and up, that, it's always time. It's always time. If I'm a Zumba instructor at 53 years of age, like, just like, don't give up on your dreams. It's always time. Just go for it. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now's the time, right?
Now's the time.
Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Helga. I just think the world of you, like I said, and I'm just so glad you could make the time to come on and chat.
Well, this was so much fun. Thank you. I really appreciate the invite, and it was a pleasure to be here. I had so much fun. Thank you.
Yes. Well, we will do it. We will do this again, and I can't wait till we can do a collaboration, and then hopefully I can come to your Zumba class at some point, and maybe we can do some
Please do.
dancing.
I'll be honored.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you.